everyone, I'm Alana from Kids Read to Kids. This is my American Girl reading doll, Kit, thanks to American Girl. And we are on chapter 5 of Read All About It, Messages. By the time school started in the fall, 3 new boarders had moved into the Kittredge's house, a musician named Mr. Peck and 2 young nurses, Miss Hart and Miss Finney. The money they paid for their rooms and meals helped Kit's family. Kit knew that was a good change. But with the new boarders plus Mrs. Howard and Stirling, the house felt much too crowded, and Kit's list of chores had gotten a whole lot longer because all the extra people meant more cooking, cleaning, and laundry. Those were not good changes. It was almost a relief to head off to school every morning. Almost. On this rainy November morning, the attic was cold, and Kit didn't want to get up. She shivered and burrowed deeper under her covers. "Hey, Kit, wake up." Kit opened one eye and saw Charlie standing by her bed. She put her pillow over her head and groaned. "Go away." "Can't do that," said Charlie cheerfully. "Not till I'm sure you're up and at 'em." He turned on the lamp. "Come on, Squirt. Time to get to work." Kit groaned again, but she sat up. "I'm awake." She yawned. "Good," said Charlie. He tilted his head. "What's that funny sound?" Kit listened. "Plink, plink, plink, plink." "Oh," she said. "The roof leaks." "Why don't you ask Dad to fix it?" asked Charlie. "I'm sure he could." "Well, it only leaks when it rains," said Kit. "No kidding," said Charlie. "Besides, I like the plinking sound," Kit said. "It's like someone sending me a message in secret code that uses plinks instead of dots and dashes." In adventure stories, people often sent messages in secret codes, and Kit was always on the lookout for excitement. "Plink, plink, plink," said Charlie. "That means, get up, Kit." Okay, laughed Kit as she got out of bed. "I get the message." "At last," said Charlie. "See you later." He waved and disappeared down the stairs. Charlie had to leave very early every day to get to his job loading newspapers onto trucks, but he always woke Kit and said goodbye before he left. Kit dressed quickly. Mornings got off to a fast start at the Kittredge house these days. Mother was very particular about having breakfast ready on time for the boarders. As Kit hurriedly tied her shoes, she saw that someone had moved her typewriter from one side of her desk to the other. "I bet Dad used my typewriter," she thought. "He probably typed a letter to ask about a job." Kit sighed. She promised herself that the day Dad got a new job, she'd make a newspaper with a huge headline that said, "Hooray for Dad! Bye-bye, boarders!" Kit could not wait for that day. She did not like having the boarders in the house at all. The thought of that headline cheered Kit as she went downstairs to the second floor to face her morning chores. Her first stop was the bathroom, where she fished 3 of Dad's socks out of the laundry basket. Teetering first on one foot, then on the other, Kit put a sock over each shoe. She put the third sock over her right hand like a mitten. Then Kit propped the laundry basket against her hip and peeked out the door to be sure the coast was clear. It was. Kit took a running start, then swoosh! She skated down the hallway, dusting the floor with her new sock-covered feet and giving the table in the hall a quick swipe with her sock-covered hand. Kit skated fast. She could already hear the boarders rising and making the annoying noises they made every morning. As she skated past Mr. Peck's room, she heard him blowing his nose. Honk, 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 honk. It sounded to Kit like a goose honking the tune of Jingle Bells. The 2 lady boarders were chirping to each other in twittery bursts of words and laughter. Next to them, in what used to be Kit's room, Mrs. Howard was bleating and baaing over Stirling like a mother sheep over her lamb. A chirp chirp here and a baa baa there. It's like living on old MacDonald's farm, for Pete's sake, Kit thought crossly. She skated to the top of the stairs, sat, peeled off the socks, and put them back in the laundry basket. Then she climbed onto the banister and polished it by sliding down it sideways. She landed with a thud at the foot of the stairs and found a surprise waiting for her. Mother. "Oh, good morning, Mother," said Kit. Mother crossed her arms over her chest. "Is this how you do your chores every day?" she asked. "Skating and sliding?" Well, yes," said Kit. "No wonder the hallway is always so dusty. Not to mention Dad's socks," said Mother. She sighed a sigh that sounded weary for so early in the morning. "Dear, I thought you understood that we've all got to work hard to make our boarding house a success. Your chores are not a game. Is that clear?" "Yes, Mother," said Kit. "I'd appreciate it if you would dust more carefully from now on," said Mother. She managed a small smile. "And so would Dad's socks." Kit felt sheepish. "Should I dust the hall again now?" she asked. "I'm afraid there's no time," said Mother. "I'll try to get it myself later. Right now I need your help with breakfast. The boarders will be down any minute. Come along." "Okay," Kit said as she followed Mother into the kitchen. To herself, she groused. "The boarders! It's all their fault. Mother never scolded me about things like dusting before they came because I never had boring chores to do." Kit knew her skate and slide method of dusting was slapdash, but she thought that nobody had noticed the dust left in the corners, except maybe persnickety Mrs. Howard. She should have known that Mother would see it too. Mother wanted everything to be as nice as possible for the boarders. She insisted that the table be set beautifully for every meal. She went to great pains to make the food look nice too, though there wasn't much of it. Dad went downtown nearly every day and brought home a loaf of bread and sometimes cans of fruits and vegetables. But even so, Mother had to invent ways to stretch the food so that there was enough. This morning, Kit watched Mother cut the toasted bread into pretty triangles. Then, after Kit spooned oatmeal into a bowl, Kit put a thin slice of canned peach on top. "That looks nice," said Kit. "The toast does too." "Just some tricks I've learned," Mother said. "Cutting the toast in triangles makes it look like there's more than there really is. And I'm hoping the peach slices will distract our guests from the fact that we've had oatmeal 4 times this week already. But it's cheap and it's filling." "Humph!" said Kit as she plopped oatmeal into another bowl. "Oatmeal's good enough for them." "Hush, Kit," said Mother. She glanced at the door to the dining room as if the boarders might have heard. "You mustn't say that. We've got to keep our boarders happy. We need them to stay. In fact, we need more." "More boarders?" asked Kit, horrified. "Mother, why?" "Because," said Mother, sounding weary again, "even with Charlie's earnings and the rent from the boarders, we don't have enough money to cover our expenses. We need at least 2 more boarders to make ends meet." "But where would we put them?" asked Kit. "No one would pay to share my attic. The roof leaks, and Charlie's sleeping porch is going to be freezing cold this winter." "Yes," agreed Mother. "The sleeping porch should be enclosed, but we don't have any money for lumber." "Anyway," said Kit, "it'd be silly to go changing the house all around and filling it with boarders when I bet Dad is going to get another job any day now. Didn't he say he's going downtown again today to have lunch with a business friend?" "Mm-hmm," Mother murmured. "Probably it's an interview," said Kit. She crossed her fingers on both hands. "Oh, I hope Dad gets a job," she wished aloud. "That," said Mother, "would be a dream come true." She handed the heavy breakfast tray to Kit, took off her apron, and smoothed her hair. "Meanwhile, all we have going for us is this house and our own hard work. We must do everything we can to make sure our boarders stay. We can't let them see us worried and moping. So, shoulders back, chin up, and put on a cheery morning face, please." Kit forced her lips into a stiff smile. "I guess that will have to do," said Mother briskly. She put on a smile too, pushed open the door, and walked into the dining room like an actress making an entrance on a stage. Dad and all the boarders were seated at the table. "Good morning, everyone," Mother said. "Good morning," they all answered. Kit's smile turned into a real one when she saw Dad, who was wearing his best suit and looking very handsome. He winked at her as if to send her a message that said, "It really is a good morning now that I've seen you." Miss Hart and Mrs. Finney cooed with pleasure when Kit set their peachy oatmeal before them. Kit was careful not to spill. Their starched nurses' uniforms were as white as blank pieces of paper before a story was written on them. "I bet Miss Hart and Miss Finney have plenty of interesting stories to tell about their patients at the hospital," thought Kit. "Maybe they've had daring nursing adventures like Florence Nightingale and Clara Barton. What great newspaper headlines those adventures would make." Then Kit scolded herself for being curious. Miss Hart and Miss Finney must remain blank pages. Kit did not want to like them. She did not want to be interested in them or in Mr. Peck either, even though he played a double bass as big as a bear and had a beard and was so tall he reminded Kit of Little John in her favorite book, Robin Hood. They would probably all turn out to be dull anyway, just as disappointing as tidy Mrs. Howard and skinny Stirling. They were not friends. They were only boarders, and they wouldn't be around for very long. As soon as Dad got a new job, they'd leave. Kit thought back to the wish she'd made and rewrote it in her head. "I should have added the word soon," she thought. "I hope Dad gets a job soon." As Kit sat down at her place, she saw Dad slip his toast onto Stirling's plate. Stirling's mother saw it too and started to fuss. "Oh, Mr. Kittredge," said Mrs. Howard to Dad, "you're too generous, and Sterling's digestion is so delicate. He can't eat so much breakfast. It's a shame to waste it." "Don't worry, Mrs. Howard," joked Dad. "Sterling's just helping me be a member of the Clean Plate Club. I'm having lunch with a friend today. I don't want to ruin my appetite." Stirling didn't say a word, but Kit noticed that he wolfed down his own toast and Dad's too pretty fast. "Delicate digestion in my eye," thought Kit. "Goodness, Mr. Kittredge," Miss Finney piped up. "Last night at dinner you said you weren't hungry because you'd had a big lunch. Those lunches must be feasts." "They are indeed," said Dad. Just then, Mother brought in the morning mail. She handed a couple of letters to Dad and one fat envelope to Miss Hart, who got a letter from her boyfriend in Boston practically every day. Kit was trying to imagine what Miss Hart's boyfriend had to say to her in those long letters, when Mother said, "Why, Stirling, dear, look, this letter is for you." Everyone was quiet as Mother handed Stirling the letter. Even his mother was speechless for once. The tips of Stirling's ears turned as pink as boiled shrimp. He looked at the envelope with his name and address typed on it, and then eagerly ripped it open, tearing it apart in his haste to get the letter out and read it. Mrs. Howard recovered. "Who's it from, Lammy?" she asked. Stirling smiled a watery, timid-looking smile. "It's from Father," he answered. His odd husky voice sounded unsure, as if he himself could hardly believe what he was saying. "My land!" exclaimed Mrs. Howard, pressing one hand against her heart. "A letter at last! What does he say?" Stirling read the typewritten letter out loud. "Dear son, I haven't got a permanent address yet. I'll write to you when I do, and I'll send more money as soon as I can. Give my love to Mother. Love, Father." Stirling handed 2 $10 bills to his mother. "He sent us this." "Wow!" exclaimed Kit. $20? That's a lot of money." Miss Finney and Miss Hart murmured their agreement, and Mr. Peck put down his coffee cup in amazement. Mrs. Howard was overcome with happiness. In a weak voice, she said to Mother, "Margaret, take this." She tried to give Mother one of the $10 bills. "You've been so kind to us, so you must share in our lucky day." "Oh, but," Mother began. "I insist," said Mrs. Howard. Mother hesitated. Then she said, "Thank you." She put the $10 bill in her pocket. After that, everyone started talking at once about Stirling's startling letter. Everyone but Stirling, that is. Kit saw Stirling read his father's message once more and then fold the letter very small and hold it in his closed hand. After breakfast, Dad sat at the kitchen table reading the want ads in the newspaper while Kit and Mother washed the dishes. "Mr. Howard must be doing all right if he can send his wife $20, Dad said. "Maybe Chicago is the place to go. Maybe there are jobs there." "Chicago is a bigger city than Cincinnati," said Mother. "We'd move to Chicago?" asked Kit. She didn't like the idea of leaving her home and her friends. "No," said Dad, putting the newspaper down. "Only I would go." Kit spun around from the sink so fast, she left a trail of soap suds on the kitchen floor. "You'd go without us?" she asked, shocked. "You'd leave us? Oh, Dad, you can't." "Now, Kit, calm down," said Dad. "It's just an idea. I haven't said I'll go, but if nothing turns up here by Thanksgiving—" "Thanksgiving?" interrupted Kit. "That's only 2 weeks away." "You know how hard your father's been looking for a job in Cincinnati," said Mother, "ever since August." "And he'll find one," said Kit. She looked at her father. "Won't you, Dad? One of those business friends you have lunch with is sure to offer you a job any day now, right?" "Kit, sweetheart," Dad started to answer, then stopped. He picked up the paper and went back to his reading. "Right," he said. "Any day now." As Kit turned back to the dishes, she thought, "When I wished for Dad to get a job soon, I didn't mean in Chicago." In her head, she rewrote the message of her wish again. Now it was, "I hope Dad gets a job soon. And here in Cincinnati." That was Chapter 5 of Read All About It by Valerie Tripp with my special reading doll, Kit. Stay tuned for the next video of Chapter 6. I'm Alana from Kids Read to Kids, and head to kidsreadtokids.com for our corresponding lesson plan and for all of our other resources. Happy reading!